One of the many gifts I was given at the Edinburgh Meet, many generous gifts, was this high voltage module. And I'd like to warn you in advance that this video contains alcohol, technical stupidity, and profanities and electric shock. And that's about to come up right now. So we've just finished work, and because we're about to do something incredibly stupid, we decided to get the bigclive.com logo here and have a good drink as well. So let's move the drinks out the way as a health and safety precaution, because we don't want to spill the drinks, do we? And the whole idea of this video is to test whether these modules sold on eBay are stun gun modules. So the only way to find that out is to put my hand across it, so let's go. Ah! Yes, well, I did warn you that we're going to be profanities, and there were profanities, and completely unavoidable profanities at that, so definitely a Peggy 18 video. So this module, I initially thought maybe it's being sold for lighting gas or, driving neon tubes, but I get the feeling that it is a stun gun module. And it would be nice to completely strip this apart and show you the circuitry inside, but it is solidly potted in hard black resin, which is always a bit destructive to get into. But I know the type of circuitry that's in these because while I was in America some time ago, I bought a stun gun, and from the end on looked like that. There was a square section with laminated plates, and it was all potted in resin, and you could see the coils of the tape and the windings. So this core has the few turns of the primary that's driven by this capacitor discharge circuit, and then over the top of that it's got a layer of tape, or more than one layer of tape perhaps, and then lots and lots of fine windings going from one end to the other, and then a layer of more tape for insulation, then more windings going back the way, more layers of tape, more windings go back. You end up with this big pulse as opposed to this sort of high frequency coming from this first stage. And the electrodes in a stun gun, typically the stylish stun gun looks like that. It's got this sort of body like that, the trigger, and then it's got the probes coming out the front, and then it's got two probes close to the middle that spark between them. And these are usually just physically connected together as loops of metal. And the reason they're close together in the middle and far apart at the front is because if you operate these transformers open circuit, the voltage can be so high. Say for instance I operated this, but I just left it running with the wires spaced apart like that. The voltage across the windings inside will get so high that it could actually flash over and it could damage them. But by keeping a spark gap in the middle, it means that not only do you get an intimidating spark and the cracking noise, but it caps the maximum voltage that can be generated across this transformer before that the air ionizes in this gap and it sparks. So that gives the visual effect, but when you actually press that against someone, what actually happens is that it finds an easier route through their body, and that's even breaking through the layers of the clothing that get in between, because the combined dielectric strength is lower than the sort of the 15 to half inch, 15 millimeter spark gap here. And when the current passes through the body, it does so as that sharp spike, and it creates a sort of voltage gradient that affects lots of nerves. Now, because it's not a continuous AC current, it doesn't cause muscle contraction, but it does cause stimulation of the nerves in a large area. It causes a sort of large field within the body that causes major nerve stimulation, and that causes pain. That also causes, in the case of applying it to the base of someone's spine, which is not recommended, it can cause loss of nerve control. It can swamp out the nerves with the electrical signal, and it can make people fall down, which is really ultimately what stun guns are used for, and tasers and things like that. So
this country coming to? Affirmative action, what's a white man gonna do? It's another government handout, and simply said.
Look at this, guys. Murdoch-chan, Murdoch-chan, Murdoch-chan. It's all they fucking care about.
Well, what do you expect, Murdoch? You're talking about the small overlap of people who can romanticize the heights of Western civilization while at the same time appreciate a cheaply made YouTube cartoon. 3D women really don't tend to be their thing.
If I didn't have an immediate requirement, why the fuck would I be calling you?
You are number 34 in the call.
What the fuck? Oh, this is the worst I've ever seen it. I don't think I've seen it higher than 20 before. It's usually like, I don't know, 10, 15 at most. Trying to get this all in the shot. So.
This can be done by wearing masks, having injections, staying at home, not having our families for lunch, not going for picnics, and 1,000 other petty restrictions which are constantly changing and frequently contradictory. Despite all our previous attempts to comply with the various regulations, we are being told once more that the NHS is on the verge of collapse. So what is actually causing the problem this time? Are we running out of intensive care beds? Are there so many patients in the hospitals that they are unable to cope? Are an awful lot more people dying? Exactly why is the NHS once again in danger? The answer is absurdly simple and does nothing to encourage confidence in our leaders. Despite the ever larger number of cases of COVID which are being reported each day, yesterday there were more than 200,000, the number of people in intensive care has remained stable for months. The number of deaths actually seems to be falling. Just 48 were announced yesterday, which is about a third of what they were a couple of weeks ago. It is when you look at what is actually causing that strain that things become a little clearer. This is not a case of too many patients, but of too few staff. On New Year's Eve, 10% of NHS staff were absent from work. We are warned that this figure could soon rise to 25%. Imagine that, a quarter of all doctors and nurses, ambulance drivers, porters and other staff off sick. What are they off sick with? Have they got some debilitating illness? In almost every case, what they have is something with symptoms resembling the common cold so closely that without taking a special test, nobody could tell the difference between an ordinary cold and the new variant of COVID.